the Springfield Armory XDS 45. Let's check it out. Guys, just to be pretty direct, I am not a big fan of carrying a single stack 9mm as my regular concealed carry. I do have the Glock 43, I have the Shield, my wife, that is her concealed carry. But I really feel a lot more comfortable with a double stack magazine and also an extra in my pocket. But there are times where single stack really needs to be the rule, because you really need to get that concealment down according to what you're wearing. And there are a lot of times that I really need to carry something that's in the single stack very thin. But with that, carrying a 45 single stack makes a world of difference. Even though you lose a round or two, the power with the 45 ACP is legendary. And so to me, the XDS and 45 ACP is something really to look at for concealed carry. And guys, for a 45 ACP, this is tiny. First thing I'm going to do is make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to remove the magazine, check the chamber, and this firearm is empty. The XDS is a really small firearm, and honestly it's about just under an inch. In fact, the grip is 0.9 inches. The slide itself is just under an inch, which makes this really easy to carry on an everyday basis. You know, there's the old saying, I'd rather have the 380 in my pocket than the 45 ACP that I left at home. But now you have an option to carry a 45 ACP that's not too much larger than your typical 380 ACP. And that really makes things, gives you again a lot of confidence. The dimensions of the pistol are 6.3 inches in length, 4.4 inches in height, and just under an inch, 0.9 inches in the width. Springfield Armory is legendary with their 1911s. And they've been making 1911s for a number of years. There's hundreds of different models. But Springfield Armory partnered with HS products out of Croatia. And in 2002 began to import the XD series of pistols. Now the original HS products firearm was the HS 2000. And you'll see them every once in a while at gun shows and places. And one of the great things about Springfield Armory is they have honestly partnered with HS. And that means they have a lot of input with the designs, what American shooters want. And HS Products has been very receptive and very willing to update and upgrade and advance this pistol. This is a polymer frame pistol. It is striker fired. It has a 3.3 inch cold hammer forged barrel. They also make it in a 4-inch barrel as well. And of course that makes the slide just a little longer, but if you really want a very compact pistol, this is the smallest size. The grip has a really nice reinforced nylon feel to it. I mean, it has a very nice refined feel. Of course, you've got the squares that are checkering all the way around to give you a really good purchase on the pistol. And then here with the interchangeable back strap, you've also got that same, almost like a hand grenade texturing on here. But it really allows you to grab hold of the pistol, and when you're shooting it, especially shooting 45 ACP, you've got a lot of confidence because you have a really good solid grip on the firearm. Now, one of the things that this pistol shows, and you'll see it, is this grip safety. And that's something that you don't see outside of the XD line. But they have incorporated the grip safety. It is a point of concern for some that don't like the grip safety. They just don't like the extra safety feature. There's a lot of people, though, that have comfort in this safety feature because of the trigger tab safety that we now see. This is what keeps the gun from firing. That you really need to have a full finger on this trigger for it to fire. Now for me, I would much rather have a grip safety than have an external safety up here. I just don't like that. It does have the mag release right here, and it's just a drop mag. You also have it on the other side, and it's just a round checkered grips magazine release. The magazine locks in really nice. It is a stainless steel, and this is the flush fit. It holds 5 rounds, then plus 1 in the chamber. Then you have your 6 round that has this little buffer, and of course when it goes in, it gives you a little more grip, and then it also gives you an extra round. But for concealed carry, really the grip is what needs to be the shortest part of the firearm. In fact, the barrel and the slide could be longer because that's more easy to conceal. But that does give you an option if you like carrying it that way. One of the things I found though with these small pistols, that you kind of have your pinky hanging off. And I have medium-sized hands, and my pinky does rest right here on this base pad. Now with the 45 ACP, you know, it helps a lot to have a little extra grip right here. And that's one of the good things about this. You can have a subcompact pistol, take it out to the range, and then you've got your extra grip to be able to train with, and then you can conceal it with this. Now here we have the 7-round magazine, and you can see that the base plate comes down a little bit more, and this spacer is really important to have in your firearm. One of the reasons is because if you take this off, this is removable, it just slides right up off the magazine. It does have some tension to it, which is really good. But once we take this off, if you're placing your magazine in here, you can actually over insert your magazine to where it's a little bit too much, and that can cause problems when firing the gun. So always keep these spacers in place. I mean, it's very important. That's why they have it. And then too, of course, it just gives you that little more grip right here on the firearm. I mean, this is a full length grip on this firearm now with this 7-round magazine. Now the gun comes with the 5-rounder and the 6-rounder. The 7-rounder you have to order extra. I got this from gunmagwarehouse.com. They sent these. They are Springfield Armory magazines, and they are very reliable. Get extra magazines for your training and your range time. Keep a good 5-rounder in your gun, or even a 6-rounder, and have backups. I always have at least 6 magazines for every pistol that I carry for a concealed carry. The slide is milled from a single piece of bar stock, and then it's covered with a melanite finish, very impervious to wear and corrosion. Again, the barrel is cold hammer forged. The serrations are spaced really wide, so it gives you a really easy grip with your thumb and your forefinger, and it's not too aggressive. It doesn't wear on your fingers. The sights have 2-dot at the back, and they have a fiber optic rod at the front, and this really makes it easy to see at the range. I mean, it really comes out, and especially in the sunlight. Now, accuracy for a really small 45 ACP can be challenging, but with the XDS, it's really, because of the recoil and the way this thing fits in your hand, you seem to be able to get better accuracy. The recoil is not quite as bad. And so shooting at about 10 yards, these sights really help, but you should be able to get really good accuracy at self-defense distances. Using Freedom Munitions 230 grain Pro Match, and that's the AXP, which is a jacketed hollow point. 6 rounds here and then 1 little flyer. Pretty consistent, shooting just a touch low. I was at 10 yards, and easy to see target sticker, and shootsteel.com. But there are aftermarket sights for this. They're both dovetailed, so it's not a big deal to change these out, especially if you want night sights or you just like a different style. But the fiber optic sights really work well. The slide rounds off, so that really helps for concealed carry. Everything is rounded off. Even the front has cuts right here, bevels. Of course, the rear doesn't necessarily need it, but it's still rounded off to make it really smooth, just right for a concealed carry option. You have your Springfield Armory logo laser etched in the top, and of course XDS right here. XDS 45 ACP. 3.3 for the barrel length, and again there is a 4.0. They do include an accessory rail. It is short, but this is included with the pistol. Most of your single stack 45s right now do not have an accessory rail, so that gives you a little more of an advantage with this pistol. Now you can see the trigger guard has a really high undercut, and that allows you to get your hand up as close to the bore as possible. So you get a really solid grip. You have your slide release right here. Bring it back, you can lock it in. Of course, there is a magazine inside, and then of course you can just drop it down. Very smooth, but it is 45 ACP. It does have a dual guide rod in here to allow for better recoil control. Now as far as the trigger goes, you have some take up right here, and then you kind of hit a wall, and then there's a little bit of stacking, and then it fires. There is no over travel on the trigger. This isn't the best trigger, and I know there's some aftermarket triggers out there to improve that, but really at the range you don't notice it too much. Now we're going to go ahead and check reset right here, and then again the stacking, and then no over travel. It's still pretty stiff, but definitely doable. Now we're going to check the trigger pull weight, and I have to engage my grip safety, so I have to have a funky kind of grip on this. 6 pounds 15 ounces, 6 pounds 5 ounces, 6 pounds 13 ounces. And to be honest with you, for a self-defense pistol, it should be a little heavier. You don't want to inadvertently pull that trigger unless you mean to. Now I recently did a review on the 9mm XDS, and so I still have it here, and I want to do a little bit of a comparison. Now this is in, of course, the gray finish. This also comes in the black finish. It also comes with a stainless steel slide with a black finish on the frame. So there's some different combinations. You can even get one with a laser package from Crimson Trace. So there's a lot of different options. As far as these two pistols go, they are exactly the same dimension, and I mean exact. Everything is the same, and that's not typical for a 9mm compared to a 45. Typically they're larger, and even no matter what it is, the Glock, the Shield, whatever, I mean across the board these are definitely a little bit larger. Typically the 45s are. But one of the big differences is this hole in the barrel, and of course the walls of the barrel on the 45 are thinner than the 9mm. And in fact, the 9mm weighs about an ounce more just because of the barrel, which is kind of funny because this is the 9. But this is really the only difference at all with these pistols as far as the size dimensions. Now as far as felt recoil though, the 9mm is a pleasure to shoot. I mean, even for its size, it is a really nice gun as far as recoil management. The 45 ACP is also pretty soft shooting for a 45 ACP, but it's definitely a lot more recoil than the 9mm. And I'll tell you, the 9mm, it just shot like a dream. But one of the things about the 45 is that you have that 45 ACP, and that round is just devastating. So you know, it's a trade-off as far as recoil versus power, and you got a little more round capacity with the 9mm, but you have a lot more ballistic capability with the 45. Also, the 9mm carries 2 extra rounds, 7 rounds for the flush fit, and of course you can get the 8-rounder or the 9-rounder, and again 5, 6, and 7 with the 45. They do make this also in a 40 Smith & Wesson in the 3.3. And here we have 3 of the single stack 45 ACPs that are in the market. We have the 45 Shield, which just came out recently, and then we have the Glock Model 36. These are both single stack, 6 rounds and 7 rounds, and then you have 5. And we're just going to kind of take a look a little bit at the size difference. With the Shield, you have a little more on the slide right here, and then the grip, you have mainly just the base plate coming down at the bottom. And as far as width goes, the XD is actually a little bit thinner than the Shield. Here, comparing it to the Glock, you can see immediately that it's definitely longer. It is thicker as well, and the barrel is longer here, and of course the grip is longer. So the XD is the smallest 45 out on the market, but both of these guns are excellent. I mean, you know, they're just great guns. But you know, as far as if you're really looking to get that minimal size, the XDS is going to be the one to go with. The Glock 36, I've had this for probably 7-8 years. Love this gun. In fact, it has one of the Wheaton Arm specials, so there's some different cuts and things like that with the texturing on the grip and different trigger stuff. So this is a really fine shooting gun. And then we have, of course, the Smith & Wesson. One of the things I really like, too, about the Smith is they've enhanced their grip pattern here, so it's a little more aggressive. And this Smith & Wesson Shield 45 is a great shooting gun. But as far as the compactness of the XDS, you're not going to beat it with these two. We have our extractor right here. One of the things about this extractor too is it's actually tensioned a little heavier than it needs to be to give you really positive release of that shell, that fired spent round. So that gives you just a little more reliability. And you know, I've shot probably 600 rounds through this pistol and without one malfunction. These guns just work. Okay, we're going to be using Freedom Munitions 230 grain 45 ACP full metal jacket. And we're also going to be shooting some of the Freedom Munitions Pro Match. This is a hollow point, and it's the XAP round. And this is good quality stuff, and we're going to be testing it out as well. And I want to thank Freedom Munitions for sending the ammunition. And you also get a 5% Such discount when you order from Freedom Munitions, and that's always good. Out at the range, zero malfunctions whatsoever, and of course I expected it. I've shot this quite a few times at the range already. It is more recoil than the 9mm, there's no getting around it, but really for 45 ACP, it's comfortable to shoot. I mean, it just will surprise you at the recoil with this pistol. A lot of it has to do with the way that it's set up to fire 45 effectively. And really, if you're going to fire 45 effectively, it needs to be somewhat of a lesser recoil because you don't want to flinch, you want to be able to get that practice in, you want to take this out to the range. And to me, this is a great little range gun. It's not something that a lot of times with really small pistols, you know, you kind of shy away from putting a lot of rounds through them because they'll just wear your hand out. Even shooting pretty rapidly, I was able to get right back on target, no problem. Now, one thing that I did have one little bobble with, and it was funny because I did some slow motion video, is one time I didn't let the reset come out. And it's got a fairly short reset, but I did beat the reset. So a lot of practice is important with whatever firearm you're carrying for concealed carry. Now to disassemble the firearm, we're going to drop the magazine. Of course, make sure the gun is unloaded. First thing you do is to bring back your slide, engage it, take your takedown lever and push it up. And then when you release the slide, pull the trigger and it will disengage the striker and allow you to pull your slide off. Remove your recoil spring. Now this is a key element, the dual recoil spring, and of course this is the flat recoil spring, which does aid in felt recoil. And then we have our barrel lockup. One of the things too about this barrel lockup, you can see these cuts in the top of the barrel, and what that does is locks it up to the frame right here. Now you have a loaded chamber indicator, and of course that locks into it. Springfield Armory says you can shoot 45 plus Ps, you can shoot jacketed hollow points, any kind of self-defense ammo through these, and it's not a problem. They're just built to last. And one of the other things about the XD, which is really kudos to XD, is that there are no parts in here, according to XD, that are weak, that are prone to break. The way they've built them, any kind of areas that they could have had with other designs, they have reinforced it and designed it to be able to continue to be reliable. The interior of the slide is really well done, and the polishing on here is just exceptional. I mean, that is just beautiful. So all the lines and the cut marks and things like that are very well done. And the feed ramp has been polished, I mean, very nicely. Again, this is a cold hammer forged barrel, and that really extends the life of the barrel. Now you can look at the rails here. They are very sturdy, very beefed up. In fact, the locking block here is the part of your rail, and it's a really solid design. One thing too is once you've disassembled the firearm, you cannot insert your magazine. And that is a safety feature. Until you reassemble your firearm, you can't insert your magazine. And they do have a metal guide rod. Let's go ahead and reassemble the pistol just in reverse order. Place in your barrel, recoil spring and guide rod, bring it over slide rails, and go ahead and set your slide stop. And then just bring the lever down and the gun's back in business. Add your magazine and you're going to function check. Good to go. Now the XDS has a lot of aftermarket support with sights and holsters and of course extra magazines. There's a lot of different things out there, and of course triggers and things like that. One thing that I like personally is to carry my firearm inside the waistband. And I personally like leather. I prefer leather, even though I do own and carry a number of Kydex holsters just according to the situation. And this is one of the inside the waistband holsters from Jackson Leather Works. He does a fantastic job, and he actually carries an XD 45 or an XDS 45 as his concealed carry. The Springfield Armory box is probably one of the best boxes on the market. It's a really heavy plastic or polymer, very similar to the Pelican case. We open it up, it's got a closed foam padding, laser cut, just for whatever accessories you have. Of course, you do come with 2 magazines, the 5 and the 6 rounder with the spacers. If you change out your back strap, which is right here, then you can actually change out the spacer in your magazine to fit it, which is a really nice touch. We have a trigger lock. Also, we have a bore brush, and we have extra fiber optic rods and a chamber flag. A very concise owner's manual, and of course safety information, the usual. Now on the Springfield Armory website, the magazines run $28.95 for the 5 rounder and $39.95 for the 6 and 7 rounder, either one. At gunmagwarehouse.com, $23.99 for the 5 rounder, $33.99 for the 6 and 7 rounders. So gives you a little bit of a break there, and again I want to thank those guys for sending the extras. It really helped at the range. Now, as far as price goes, the XDS manufacturer suggested retail is $549. Then street price, I'm finding them really about the $450 range. Of course, that's according to your area, but a number of places about $450. But guys, I'm telling you, I would feel very confident carrying this as a concealed carry. In fact, because I've got my new holster and mag carrier, I will be carrying this often as a concealed carry, and it's so thin. It's going to be a real pleasure. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. The magazines, crap. Also the magazines, Lord have mercy. The price of the magazine from Century Arms, okay, $39.90, crap. At a steel target with a dot, okay. And I want to, it's just excellent. Faux clone padding. Placing your firearm up into the gun. Okay, well, let me get to that. Ah, crap. I want to make sure. Okay. But before, okay. Blah, 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 blah. Say hello to my little friend with a big boom.